talking to the Republican congressional nominees from both states for you right now. Alek Skarlatos is the Republican Oregon congressional candidate and a former U.S. Army National Guard sniper. Eli Crane is a Republican Arizona congressional candidate. Both join us live. Alek, I'll start with you on this. Talk to us about your campaign here less than 24 hours ago for many heading to the polls there in Oregon. What is your message right now? How are you feeling about this?
Well, I'm feeling confident. It's going to be a very close race, though. I think polling has us tied going into it, so it's going to be very much a jump ball. But, you know, people are tired. They've had 40 years of cumulative bad Democrat policies, and now they finally have a chance to vote against it in an election where we actually could win.
Sure. And depending on which state you're running to represent, you've got different issues that are priorities for voters. In Arizona specifically, I know the border crisis is a major one, especially when you're seeing preliminary data coming in that is, quite frankly, setting records. Eli, let me ask you about that. How much does the border crisis play into your campaign? And what's your plan to really represent people in your district who are here in this country legally and protect them from any potential harm that could come from this crisis?
No, thank you for bringing it up. It is a massive crisis here in Arizona. It really is an invasion. I saw a headline this morning saying there's 6,500 illegals coming in every single day. That they're not just from Mexico, they're from 150 different countries. That's something I want people to understand. Last year alone, there were 22 members on the terror watch list that were encountered by Border Patrol agents. That doesn't even include the gotaways, as they call them. That doesn't include the sex trafficking that comes through that southern border, the number one killer of Americans 18 to 45, fentanyl, MS-13 gang members, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It is a massive problem. And it doesn't just stay here in Arizona, guys. Fentanyl, all of this stuff I just talked about doesn't just stay in Arizona. Matter of fact, this administration is busting these problems all over the entire country. And here's the deal, guys. It doesn't matter what country you live in. It doesn't matter if you're from Nigeria, Ecuador, the United States of America. Every country on the planet deserves to have its own sovereignty and to protect its citizens. And that is something that this government, this administration is failing to do. And so is my opponent, Tom O'Halloran, who has multiple times not voted to fund the border wall. He even voted to give $1,200 stimulus checks to illegal aliens. I'm endorsed by the National Border Patrol Council. It's a bipartisan organization. And so I think it's pretty clear to Arizonans who the choice is in this race on who's actually going to be tough on border issues and who's going to do everything possible to return us immediately to Trump-era border policy.
Yeah, I wanted to hone in if I can, because we talk about specifics here, but I wanted to get to Alek. And in your race, you mentioned this earlier, but you were quoted saying that Republicans are surging in the polls in Oregon there, showing a polls you tied 45% against your opponent, Democrat Val Hoyle. How do you think other races in your state are going to shake out for the GOP? A lot of folks are expecting a major Republican turnout, specifically there in the House.
Well, the reason so many races are competitive is because the Democrats gerrymandered the map. They didn't want to give Republicans another district after redistricting, even though we got a new one. And so what they did was they made multiple races just lean Democrat. And so, of course, in a year like this, all of those seats are open as well. You're going to have quite a bit of backlash. And so we actually have a chance of picking up 3 open congressional seats and the governor's mansion as well. And I think, you know, we see opportunities like this because, like I said, bad Democrat policies. I mean, we passed Measure 110 a little over a year ago that basically legalizes all drugs. And that, of course, didn't help homelessness or crime. It's just a lot of these terrible Democrat policies that people look back and think, what were we even thinking?
And they'll have a chance to let their voices be heard tomorrow. Alek Skarlatos and Eli Crane. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time today. Best of luck in your campaigns.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.